in progress to get the town to implement.
All right. Can the huge crowd in the room please be seated? All right. Welcome everyone to the Sunnyvale Democratic Club meeting. We have a couple of agenda items, but we are in person, Dorado community room, and we're also online on Zoom. So thank everybody for being here today. And I believe we've got all of our audio and video issues worked out that we had at the last meeting. So apologize for that if you attended the last meeting and were frustrated on Zoom. All right. The Democratic Club of Sunnyvale is committed to providing a welcoming, respectful, friendly, safe, supportive, and harassment-free environment for members and guests. The club expects all leaders, members, and others associated with the Democratic Club of Sunnyvale to respect the personal rights and dignities of all individuals involved with the club to create a productive, inclusive environment for all. All right, so wanted to again welcome everyone as well as guests that are here today. So one of the main activities for our meeting today is to do an endorsement. And we are happy to have Mr. Drew Settler here on behalf of Representative Ro Khanna, our U.S. House of Representatives congressperson. And this District 17 U.S. Representatives seat is the one that we will be doing endorsements for today. Welcome, Drew. Would you
Thanks,
like to
Crystal.
go ahead?
Yeah, I appreciate all of you taking the time as well to join. We're proud to be running for re-election. Now this is Ro's 7th year in Congress representing the area, and I can tell you he truly loves the seat. I know there was a lot of conversation around his name jumping into the Senate race earlier this year, but again, we passed on that just because Ro is committed to serving the community, and this is what he's passionate about. Right off the bat, starting with housing, Ro has called for and is authoring a bill that would prevent private equities like BlackRock and other companies from buying up homes, preventing others from buying it. And so we've called for a stop to that, and we've also supported more affordable housing in the district, and we got money through the Build Back Better for housing projects in the district. So we were proud to do that. We recognize that that's one of the biggest challenges of the Valley, and people are being priced out every day. And so, finding ways that we can stop that, that's at the top of our team's list. Moving on to transportation, during the whole debate with the infrastructure bill and the president's bill, Build Back Better, Ro was the one who told progressives that were holding out that we need to just vote on the two bills. They wanted one big bill, but that was going nowhere fast. And so, we were proud to push for two separate bills and get the infrastructure bill to pass and get more funding for the BART extension to San Jose, more funding for noise control and clean up on the freeways, and just more funding for VTA and other public transit in general. And then our Ro's stance on climate, he was proud to chair the very first oversight committee hearings with Big Oil last Congress when he was in the majority. Of course, this Congress, the Republicans, the one thing they did was they disbanded that community, the subcommittee on oversight for the environment. But he called Big Oil to testify in front of the committee, and that was the first time that they had come to Congress under oath, where basically he grilled them into admitting that they had knowledge of disinformation that their companies and their lobbyist firms were running, and they knew about the effects of their businesses way back in the 70s and 80s when their own internal scientists were telling them that their practices were harming the environment. So we're proud to continue the fight on that. You know, we've worked with groups like Sunrise Movement, Climate Defiance, and others to make sure that the conversation isn't being lost on climate, and making sure that we're pushing the president in his reelection platform as one of his national surrogates to speak more to climate issues and talk to young voters, because that's what resonates heavily with that. And then the last thing, I'll keep it brief. The last thing that we've really worked on is finding ways to spread the wealth generation opportunities that we find in the Valley nationally. In his role as sort of Silicon Valley's congressman, Roe has worked to bring places like Iowa, South Carolina, Pennsylvania, these digital job opportunities that would give students there the same sort of education and training that we get here, and teach them the soft skills so that they can do interviews and get high-paying jobs at tech companies without having to leave their communities. I think one of the biggest things that we see is that there's been a hollowing out of the middle class because wealth is being concentrated in places like our district, places like New York, Chicago, and that comes with a whole set of challenges like housing, transportation, climate. And so what we're trying to do is find ways to encourage companies to not invest offshore, but instead invest in America. Companies like Apple, we partnered with Google to bring a tech training partnership where students received a $5,000 stipend. And after an 18-month course, they were able to get tech jobs at Google, Zoom, White Rabbit, other tech companies here in the Valley. And so, we're really proud of that. And on a local level, Roe is proud to have continued his pledge of doing a town hall monthly. Even through the pandemic, we were doing it via Zoom, but now we're doing it in person. And he comes back from DC every weekend, and we're here to serve the community as best we can. So if it's all right, I'll put my contact information in the chat as well. And if anyone could please reach out to me anytime, I encourage that, so that we can always try to help if possible.
Thank you so much, Drew. I don't know if we arranged with whether you would be able to answer any questions or not. Is that
Sure? I'm happy to.
okay? All right. If you have any questions, you feel free to come up here to the in person or raise your digital hand online. Oh, we have a question from the room. What do you think about the House Speaker?
Well, we've
scenario.
voted. Roe has voted 17 times for Hakeem Jeffries, and he will continue to vote for Hakeem Jeffries. But I think it's absurd, the inability that Republicans have to get themselves together and even form a functioning government. And so, I hope that there will be a consensus candidate. I know that leadership has talked about some moderate bipartisan Republican possibly, but candidly, I don't think there's anyone that wants the job right now on the Republican side. And so, hopefully they can put someone that gets to 217, or there will be a few Republicans that come to their senses and vote with Democrats. But until that happens, it's frustrating because we're in a stalemate.
All right. Any other? Oh, there's one coming through the chat. Can Row help stabilizing rent in cities throughout our area? From Agnes.
Yeah, absolutely. So Roe has, at the federal level, called for more housing and more price controls for rental units. I think we all realize that the rent in our area, myself included, is way too high. And so we've worked with the city, county, and state governments to find ways to build more units and develop more mixed use properties that people can use as affordable homes.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, I'm not seeing any. Thank you so much, Mr. Settler, for coming and speaking on Roe's behalf and letting us know his priorities.
Of course, thank you all for having me, and thank you for all your advocacy and all your work. Appreciate it. Have a good Saturday.
Thank you. All right, so we're actually going to split this item. So normally we would have a discussion with members only and then a vote. But instead of clearing the room and only having the members doing a discussion and then a vote, we're going to go to our next item and have that, and then we'll come back later to the voting. And Martin has some explanation here.
I just wanted to add that if you aren't going to be able to stick around for the whole meeting for whatever reason, the in-person balloting is open. The form is open. I don't know if the form has been posted in the Zoom, hopefully, but if not, somebody should post it. But it's all open. So if you can't stick around for the discussion later, you can vote, and you can vote now if you want to, but we highly encourage you to vote after the discussion.
Right, thanks, Martin. And if you do not know your PIN number, you can also, if you're online, you can message me in the chat. And if you're in person, you can talk to Cheryl Bartholomew, who's here in the room. We've got an official ballot bag here in the room. Okay. All right, and Mara has just posted the link for voting in the chat. Okay, next we are going to move on and we're going to hear an update on the Fremont Union High School redistricting process. We have two guests here. Melissa Wanch is all right. Can we do another sound check on Zoom? Can people hear the audio? Lisa, thank you. Okay. Yes. So again, we're going to be moving to the Fremont Union High School redistricting process. And we have two guests, Melissa Wanch. She is a staff of FUHSD, and Elaine Manley from the League of Women Voters, Cupertino, Sunnyvale. All right. So welcome, and be happy to hear the update.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us. Are we able to share the slides? Okay. So Fremont Union High School District voted, the Board of Trustees voted in March of 2023 that we would be moving from at-large elections to by trustee elections. Today, we're going to share with you the work that has been done and the things that will be coming down the pipeline in the next couple months. We go to the next slide. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover the overview process, the what we're calling the CTAD committee, which are going to be a committee that's going to help support the board in organizing community input. We're going to review the preliminary maps that our demographers have created based off of the community input that we have so far. And then we will share some ways for folks to get involved, and then we'll open the floor up for questions and answers.
Hi, I'm Elaine Manley from the League of Women Voters. Thank you so much for inviting us to come and speak today, and delight to work with you, Melissa. The overview of the situation, we've all gone through this experience with Sunnyvale, so we're actually pretty far ahead on the knowledge of this. So I'll be very brief, but as you know, the law is kind of to the point where school boards are going to districts rather than at large. And so on March 7th, they passed the resolution, the FUHSD Board of Trustees passed that resolution saying they do want to go to district elections. And now, as part of this, they're asking for our input, which is exactly what we want. We want the community input to make sure that the lines are drawn considering all those communities of interest. And so it does not affect any school attendance boundaries, because there was some concern that that was happening. Has nothing to do with that. It's just how we elect the trustees that are going to be on the school board. So I believe you all understand the difference between at-large versus by district, but at-large is the whole area. You get to vote for 5 people, and by district just means a geographical area, and it's been divided in, or it's being divided into 5 areas because we have 5 trustees. Great. And so at a high level, what we're going through is we've already heard the preliminary maps. We've already gotten a chance to see those. Now they have opened the application for the committee, and I'll go into that in more detail. And that committee will need to be selected, and then the committee is going to help with the outreach to get the community's input on how those lines should be drawn. The committee is going to be responsible for synthesizing all the input and trying to identify 3 to 5 of the best maps, just like we did in Sunnyvale. And then we'll have public hearings on these maps. Actually, we'll have public hearings all the way through. The public is going to be involved in this all the way through, fortunately. And then a public hearing, and the Board of Trustees will make the map selection. All right. And so the community, especially, I'm looking around the room, loving the faces that I'm seeing here. There's some people that have been very active in making sure this has happened, the league included, to make sure that the input from the community is heard. We ask that there be a community-based committee. And so they've come up with Community Trustee Area Districting Committee. CTAD is a lot easier to say, but the concept is there. It's community input, and they'll be able to gather the input like we talked about, synthesize it down, really helping identify those best maps for the Board of Supervisors to consider. It's going to be a committee of 10 to 15 members. I think part of it's going to be based on how many people actually apply, correct? Yeah, so that'll be part of it. And that's one of the reasons we're here, is helping get the word out. If you can please tell people to apply for this. It is an important position. We still need members of the community to give input, but we need the committee established kind of at the same time. So we need to do everybody getting involved in some way, if they could please. The term of the committee, actually, sorry, let me back up. The people that will be chosen by a committee that the supervisor or the superintendent has already created. That committee is saying, hey, nobody on the committee has to be a registered voter. We just want input. So it's wonderful to be able to get input from all ages from 16 and up. You'll see that shortly. The term of the committee is going to be from the appointment until the final map is done. So we're looking, I think 6 months is what we're anticipating. And then of course that will be adopted by the Fremont Union High School District Board of Trustees. Okay, next slide, please. And so how are you eligible to be on the committee? Well, you just need to be a resident of the Fremont Union High School District. You have to have lived in that district within the last 12 months, and you must be at least 16 years or above. Person is not eligible if they are a current trustee. So no incumbents. They can't be an immediate family member either, and they can't have participated in a formal role in the campaign of one of the incumbent trustees, nor contributed $1,000 or more in the last 4 years. Other than that, you're eligible. So please consider applying. And we'll give some more information on this. So as a committee member, there will be some specific dates. These dates are identified here on the slide. They are also on the application. So you see November 27th, December 4th, January 8th, February 5th, February 26th, and March 18th with the different steps that'll be done. But the applications to be on the committee are due in 9 days, October 3rd, 30th. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's coming in so fast. October 30th. So once again, I'll just put another plug. Please help us get the word out. And the website you see down there at the very bottom has all the information, the application as well. Great. And then the timeline for the committee selection you see on this slide here. The committee itself has been established and identified. October 10th, they listed the maps on the website. Great website link if you get a chance to take a look at that. October 13th, they opened up the applications. October 30th, as we mentioned, is the deadline. And then they'll do the review of the applications and interviews if needed. And then November 14th, the goal is to announce the members.
I just wanted to add 2 things. We just put up flyers that can be shared easily in English, Spanish, and Mandarin. So those are now available on the website. The other thing is that we are looking for 3 students, high school students in our district to participate. And that will be worked out with the student governing council in some sort of way, but also it's encourage if you have high school student contacts, encourage them to apply as well.
Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. All right, great. So now we'll talk about the preliminary maps. These were presented on October 17th, and is that recording now available on the website?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was a great presentation on how these maps are being drawn. So do feel free to refer back to that. The point of creating these maps was to give us a starting point so that we're not creating the maps from scratch. And Lisa is going to go over this in a lot more detail, but if I may say just one more slide before I turn it over to her. Remember, like in Sunnyvale, where we had these rules we had to follow in order to create what's considered a legal map. Same thing applies here. The area has to be an equal number of inhabitants. So there's like 240,000 people that live here. If there's 5 districts, you're looking at about 48,000 people need to be in each area. It's not drawn in favor of incumbents. It is drawn to comply with the Federal Voting Rights Act. And that's the one that's really talking about making sure it's a fair election, making sure that people are represented and it's a diverse community. And you'll see those statistics in the map so that you can see, where are the weaknesses and strengths in those maps. And then AB 764 was just passed in California. And it is actually what we followed before for Sunnyvale, where the map has to be contiguous. You can't have a pocket here and a pocket way down there. It has to be one area that's all together. It has to maintain the communities of interest. We need to know the communities of interest of the school districts. So this is really the key information, is finding out where those communities are. Of course, we'll look at the city and the census designated lines. The natural boundaries would be like a stream. the artificial boundaries, a specific highway, those types of things, and then compactness. You want it to look like, I think the gentleman, the attorney explained it, make it look like a circle or make it look like a rectangle, you know, not just a really odd shape. And so those are some of the things that they're looking for in the maps. And now I'll turn it over to Melissa to go over the maps in detail.
So first, we're going to look at the district demographics. And you can see that our highest ethnic population is going to be Asian. And then following that is going to be the Hispanic and Latino. And we will see some of that data throughout each of the maps. So if we look at the Asian demographics, you're going to see that they make up 46.1%. And you can see where on the map that the density of this population are. For the next one, you can see it's a little hard to see, I think, in this light with the light shaded pink spot. You can see that the population is more in the northern part of the district. Yeah. Yes. So at the bottom of the map, you're going to have, is it my brain just, sorry. Yeah. So the bottom part is going to be Cupertino, San Jose, with the northern part of the district is Sunnyvale. And the district office is right kind of where it starts to widen a little bit in that area. Yeah. I believe so. Yes. I get a little backwards still to this day of which way is which, but you have West San Jose, I believe, in this lower part here. But it's a good point is that we probably could start with a just city component and then since these maps are so tiny. So we wanted to start out with a particular slide. The next one is there is misconception around why we're doing this. What does it impact? And one of the components is the school site boundaries, which it does not. It is also hard for people to connect that we have 5 trustees and we also have 5 high schools. And so people want to make a 1-to-1 ratio in that. But we don't have 5 trustees because we have 5 high schools. It's just the way that it happens to be. And so one of the asks, we got at least 100 requests on, could we just follow the high school attendance boundaries? So we had our demographers put that together and we wanted to show that it does not legally meet the requirements. We have as you can see, we have a total population, and I say that I realize it's not really viewable to you all, but of about 241,000 in our total population. And so each trustee size should be about 48,000. And in this map, we have a total variance of 124.6%. That is way over the 10% that is allowed. So we just want to make sure this is where we kind of level set and make sure folks understand that this is not possible, just strictly following school site attendance boundaries. So in the next set of slides, we'll be reviewing the 4 maps that were drawn by the demographers based off of the information that they had received either from the community or requests from the Board of Trustees. And the main focuses are going to be here are city boundaries, school attendance boundaries, as well as maintaining in the Asian and Hispanic areas. So if we start with 1, oh, in addition, what you will see is 4 slides per scenario. You will see the first map will have an overlay of the school site boundaries just to give people a reference point, as well as the next slide will be with the overlay of the city boundaries. And then you'll see some of the population data. And then we did a summary for folks because it's not very easy to see on the maps, kind of how does that really break up across the trustee areas. So it'll be a summary of school site attendance or which high schools are in each of those boundaries, as well as which cities are. And so we won't spend time going into each of those. I just want to give you guys an overview of each of the scenarios. So in the first one, Trustee Jeff Moe had asked, could we get at least 2 high schools in each of the areas? So our demographers took that back, and this is what you're going to see in scenario 1 is that we were able to do that. But it wasn't just 2, it had to be at least 2. If we, and then the next one is the city boundaries. You guys can reference this and you can go to our website and you can actually, we have a web tool that allows you to zoom in. So I don't want to spend too much time looking at maps that I know you guys can't really see at this time. So here you're going to see, back to the demographics, is TP stands for total population. CVAP stands for citizen voting age population. And here we have a variance of 6.1%. So it is a legal map in that sense. And then you will see that in trustee area 2, they were able to get the Hispanic population to 26.2%. And then we were able to maintain the Asian populations in trustee 1, 3, and 5. The next slide is again that summary slide, and I think this is something that you guys can take back and review, but you'll see that we reached at least 2. As we move through these scenarios, you'll see that trustee area 2, this is the only scenario where they have more than 1 high school in that area. So moving on to scenario 2, is that the goal in scenario 2 was really to maximize the Hispanic population based off of scenario 1. And so you can see that the top has moved from being 1 trustee area into 2. And then if we move to the city slide, just as a reference point, but if we move to the demographic slide, which is the next one, you'll see that we were able to get the Hispanic population all the way up to 28.4. The demographers believe that this is the maximum we could reach with where the population sits and keeping to those the rules that we have to follow. Through the next 2 scenarios, you will see that we maintain this number as well as we are maintaining the high level of Asian population in trustees area 1, 3, and 5. They will adjust a little bit, but we keep above the majority. And then again, you can see the summary slide. I won't go too much into this, but you'll see that trustee area will only have Fremont High School moving forward. In scenario 3, they went with the city, how much we could follow city boundary lines. And you can see there's a slight adjustment to the bottom of the district. And we were able to, this is one of the higher variance at 7.4%. And if we continue to go through the slides, you can see this is where the city boundary lines are. And then if you look at the demographics, we still maintain the majority of Asians in 1, 3, and 5, and we keep that high number in the trustee area 2 for Hispanics. The scenario 4, which seems to be the most balanced when you look at the summary sheet, is going to follow the school attendance boundaries. So while we showed you a first map of it not being legal, what they did is they adjusted it to a point of balance for starting with the school boundaries. And so you just, again, you'll see some movement on the bottom part of the district mostly. And this actually comes in with a variance of 6.5%. And if we continue through, and the demographics still the same, we're maintaining all of the minority majorities. And if we go to the 2 more slides. Here is a summary of all 4, and you can kind of see how each of those scenarios kind of shifts in color. As 2 through 4, it's really shifting the bottom part of the district. And between scenario 1 and 2, that's really where you see the difference in the northern part of Sunnyvale. Elaine, did you want to add anything? Okay.
Great. Okay, so how do you get involved? Well, you can apply to be on the CTAD committee. 2, you can spread the word. So please tell your friends, tell your neighbors, please apply to the CTAD committee. It's coming up fast. And then 3rd is review the preliminary maps. If you go to the website, it is going to be on the slide deck, and this is also on the website.
Yeah, actually, it's just FUHSD.org/CTAD now.
That keeps it simple. And so now you can start looking at the maps and playing with them. You can't necessarily modify them. That tool is coming, and I don't mean to steal your thunder, so I'll just say that they're working really hard on getting that contract done and getting it in our hands, but it's going to be a few more weeks. But at least you can start getting yourself familiar with the 4 maps that they've already created for us. And there is a survey available online that is very helpful if you start documenting what do you like and what don't you like about the different maps, and the communities of interest that you're aware of. Just say, hey, this is really affecting or cutting right down the middle of this community, or if you pushed the line over here on this map, it would capture that entire community of interest, those types of things. And so please take the time to do the survey, and then I will hand it over to you.
Thank you. So as Elaine mentioned, we are working on the mapping tool. We were hoping to have that completed by mid-November. So as we come out with our committee select, we're hoping to also be able to announce the tool being online with directions. In addition, we are going to have 3 community workshops in early December. One at the district office, one at Columbia Middle School, and then one we'll do at the Quinlan Community Center in Cupertino. We are just these dates and times are hot from yesterday, so we'll get that information up on the website and some flyers that will be available for sharing as well. Now we can move to questions from the audience.
A couple questions and a comment. So the tool unless it changed, the tool they're going to use is Maptitude,
Yeah.
which we used in Sunnyvale for the first, when we first went to district. So a lot of us here are familiar with that. It's an excellent tool. Not sure why it's taken them so long to get that online, but, and I did ask the last meeting that they could export some files now that we could use other tools to look at if we want to. But these 4 sample maps were done by the demographers who really know nothing about the area. So, I mean, they're based on the demographics and the geography, you know, they're sort of representative maps, but they don't have the benefit of the input from the community, which we had in Sunnyvale, which gave much better maps. I think it's also interesting how different the attendance numbers are for the different schools. And I'm wondering what the history of that is, but I could just imagine that, you know, population builds out differently in different areas. People are very reluctant to seeing those lines move. So when you buy a house, you buy into a particular school district and attendance there. So if population starts building up, let's say in the north, then on some level you'd want to shift those lines up to balance the attendance at the schools, but people don't like that, so it probably didn't happen. So because it's a dramatic difference, that's why that map, that first map, doesn't work, because it's Fremont High School, right, that is huge compared to the others.
Yes. Yes. Sorry, I am shaking my head and I
Sorry.
realize the other folks cannot hear my head shaking.
So if you don't like the way those district lines are drawn, then get on the committee or submit. You don't have to be on the committee, right, to submit maps from the public. So we hope we will see that like we did in Sunnyvale.
Yes, can I answer your question of why it's taken us so long to get Maptitude online? Yeah, so a lot of districts do this right before the census, or like during the census time. So that's when a lot of these map softwares are really up and running. We are in the kind of like right in the middle of a down point of this excitement, right? And so a lot of people are not up and running in a way. And it actually took us a long time to get somebody to contact us from Aptitude. So the customer service has been quite slow, and not to blame them, but it's more about the flow of how districting and redistricting usually goes. And so we just have chosen a time that's really at that bottom point of engagement on their end. So now that we're up and running, we should have a PO and whatnot by Monday. So, but thank you all for being patient and letting us know what your needs are, because it also helps us be able to motivate decision making and also organizations like Maptitude.
For those online, please use the raise hand or put your question in the chat. Right, I'm sure we can all think of somebody who might want to serve on this committee, and especially youth. Let's find these people.
I just had a question. Are you getting a lot of feedback from the community? Is it working? And thank you for the League of Women Voters for being involved and all of that. But I remember when I think Sunnyvale School District came and they said during the redistricting process, they wish more people got involved. So I was just wondering if you're having a success with all the community organizations that have been aware of this. And if you are, then that's great. And if not, then, you know, Sunnyvale went out to like many organizations for their redistricting. So I think I'm Linda Sell, Sunnyvale City Council member, but I'm here speaking on my own behalf. And I'm sure Sunnyvale would be free to help you, and all the many organizations in Sunnyvale would be more than willing to help the district if they needed it. So thank you for all you're doing.
So Jackie, is it Guzman, if I'm remembering correctly, her last name at this moment. She's actually on our nominating committee, so she's helping with outreach as well. We've reached out to all the cities, and they have been really responsive. We have been getting a lot of email. We have about, I think at this point, between 50 and 75 folks responding through the survey. And which is really great because then we have a way to document that and synthesize that for when the committee members come on board. We the best part about Sunnyvale is that they've been already involved in this before it even started in a way, right? So the community has really rallied around this. And so they were really ready to go once the Board of Trustees says, let's do this. Unfortunately, the southern part of the district is just learning about it as we've began the process. So that's really where we are trying to deal with some misinformation as well as making sure that they have the information they need. So we've been really working over the last week or so about just pumping out flyers and different types of communication in multiple languages so that we can really engage the community across the district. On Thursday, we're actually holding a town hall or some type of community event at Lynbrook High School, really inviting that Lynbrook community, which is right now they're really been empowered by fear that they feel like Lynbrook High School will be closed and that they feel that this process will be about attendance boundaries. So we really want to bring the community together to have that discussion and to make sure they have an opportunity to also ask questions and get some clarity on the process.
Hi.
Is that meeting you just mentioned in Limerick, is that going to be on Zoom?
I don't believe we have the equipment to do Zoom.
Okay, so are you going to send something out about that meeting so we can all attend?
Yeah, we actually just confirmed this right before we left work on Friday with so Vice Mayor Rosemary will be she's the one that actually reached out and said, I really want to do this. So we just confirmed with her right before we left for the weekend. So we will be sending out something on Monday. I believe it's 6 or 6:30. And I'm assuming we'll have some snacks of some sort since it's during dinner time, as well as CTAD, all the meetings that are on the application. Dinner will be provided, and as well as our workshops will have some type of, for this area, for Northern Sunnyvale, it'll be breakfast. So
Okay, so hi, this is Peggy Brewster. So I wanted to mention we heard with the new past AB, I don't remember the exact right. So this is the CTAD committee is also going to be like a Brown Act, and is that also going to be like a hybrid type of meeting that public can attend?
yeah, so
Okay.
because the bill passed, we don't technically, it goes into effect January 1st. However, we will be following AB 764 to the T starting today. Unfortunately, like I think the only thing we missed is that we were supposed to have a workshop before we released the maps. That's the only thing that we did miss out of all the requirements. But since it doesn't go into effect until January 1st, like it's okay in that sense. But it will be Brown Act. So the public will have the opportunity to attend, observe, and do public comment. In addition to the notes and the summaries being online. The agenda 3 days before, and then the notes being posted. No. You're like, I can hear it.
Oh, now it's working. Okay. So I also wanted to mention that the CTAD committee is meeting on Monday nights, and I believe it's 5 to 7.
It's either 5:30 or 6. We want to make sure that the committee members can decide
Okay.
roughly but it will be an hour and a half to 2 hours. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a very difficult time for families. Like I'm doing karate and dinner time and everything at that time. I personally couldn't do that. So I wanted to make sure that the nominating committee is aware and asking the people to make sure that they have access to the families that they would that maybe could not attend at the time.
Sorry, repeat one more time.
Yeah, I want to make sure that the nominating committee is when they're talking to the people that have applied, that they are like making sure that they have access and able to reach out and communicate with those people that couldn't necessarily attend because of that time, that Monday evening dinner time. And the other thing I wanted to mention was the application when you're looking at it online is there's like a lot of it's a little intimidating, honestly, when you're just reading it, and it says you will, you'll have to abide by the Brown Act. And there's a lot of different components where I feel like it might be off-putting for people like, oh, this isn't for me. This is a little off-putting just because I don't feel like I have the knowledge around this. And just wanted to suggest that if the language could be kind of more inviting, less, like a lower bar of entry, kind of like you will be provided with any of, information or training that you would need in order to participate. That kind of language might include more people.
Okay, thank you, Peggy. I appreciate that. Any other questions?
All right, last call for questions. Yep. Got one more in the room.
Okay, so when I was a commissioner for the redistricting in Sunnyvale, there's a really large disclosure that we had to do as commissioners that has a lot of financial information on it. So is that part of this process as well? Because I think you might want to tell people that if that's the case.
No. So with the city, there's a lot of contracts, like the way the city works and how those contracts feed in. The school district doesn't run in that way as it does, but not at the same level, right? So our contract vendor body is much smaller and the amounts are much more within reason, where the city is doing huge contracts around a lot of things. And so I think for them, they're trying to make sure there isn't like Form 700. I'm not thinking when you have yes, conflict of interest. That's what the word I was looking for. Thank you. So we talked about it. We did not think that this at the district level would bring the community members to that need. Yeah, the simple answer is no. But I wanted to explain the reasoning behind it.
Absolutely. Yeah, much easier application. Good point.
All right, thank you so much for you guys coming and giving that update. And yes, a call to all members and anyone interested, please apply for this committee and get others to apply as well. Thank you. Right. Now we're going to move back to our endorsement process. And so I just ask for any non-members to leave the room or leave the Zoom as we discuss. And I believe this is when we stop the recording. Also, Mike, is that correct? Yes. All right, and we will have a discussion about